Transform Your Teens, a webinar series brought to you by Invisalign. Invisalign system is the world's most advanced technology for teeth straightening, and Invisalign believes in transforming smiles and changing lives. Hi, my name is Tiska Chopra. I am your host for this evening. I'm an actor, author, film producer, and a mother. In my 26-year long career, I've been a part of theatre, movies, web series, and much more. Over these years, I've grown as a person. But in this journey, one of the toughest parts has been to strike a balance between my work and my family. As my little one is growing up, there's so many questions that come to one's mind. Some I have answers to and some I don't. Well, today's Invisalign Transform Your Teens, we openly discuss some of the topics that us parents may have in our minds, especially if the kids are in their teens. The foundation of a very healthy lifestyle starts much earlier, in the very initial years of a child's life. And they say you are what you eat. And that's true, even more so for teeth and gums. It's important that we take care of this for our children at a very, very young age itself. So today we'll be talking more about how do we awaken the desire for having a healthy lifestyle in our teenage kids. I welcome on board our very first panelist, or should I say expert for the day, Rujuta Divekar. India's leading sports science and nutrition expert and public health advocate, Rujuta Divekar is a vocal champion of using common sense and uncomplicating the act of eating right. Oh my God, you are just a blessing because we make eating so complicated. Her books have sold more than 1 million copies and continue to define the discourse on food and exercise. She emphasizes on a blend of traditional food wisdom and modern nutrition science for a healthy body, mind, best reflected through the mantra, eat local, think global. Welcome.
Thank you, Tiska. Thank you so much for having me as one of your panelists. I must tell you that I'm one of your huge fans. You know, all the work that you've done, it continues to inspire, I think, millions around. So, especially Tare Zameen Par.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. And our second panelist for the evening is Dr. Jignesh Kothari. Dr. Jignesh Kothari is a well-practicing orthodontist with over 18 years of experience specializing in the field of invisible braces, including the most advanced technology, the Invisalign system. He owns and runs his own quality dental practice in the heart of the financial hub of Mumbai, which is highly recommended by all his patients. This has aided in earning him the reputation of the best dentist in Mumbai. I better not show my teeth. Dr. Kothari is one of the most experienced Invisalign providers in the country, practicing Invisalign system since 2012, and the first Indian doctor to have his own cases accepted for the International Invisalign Global Gallery. He's a diamond Invisalign provider. Okay, welcome Dr. Jignesh.
Thank you, Tiska. Thanks for the lovely words, and you both have beautiful smiles. And it's good to be a part of this seminar where we are going to speak about teens. And I've been a huge fan of both of you all. I follow Rujuta a lot. In fact, Jinal is our patient, and she knows about that. And I have seen a lot of your work, which is very inspiring. And you really make eating a pleasure, and not you really don't need to diet the way you are proposing it. And I think it's great. And Tiska, you've been amazing. I think I've seen a lot of your movies, and the way you carry yourself, and the scripts that you're choosing, I think they are lovely. And so keep on doing the great work. And thank you for having me on this panel.
Thank you for being here. And so we should start with our questions because we have a bunch of, I would say, eager parents who are waiting to hear what the two of you have to say. So let's start with Rujuta. Teens these days eat a lot of junk and fast food. How can we inculcate in them a desire and understanding of healthy eating habits?
I think this is a question that I'm asked very often, and I have even written one book called Notes for Healthy Kids. But I think the most important thing for children to stay away, especially for teens to stay away from junk food, is for them to be able to identify what junk food is. So I often say to kids, like, if there is an ad, it's bad. If you see an advertisement for something, you should surely be staying away from it, because I'm sure Dr. Kothari will also agree that most things that have ads are extremely bad for your teeth, gums, oral health and stuff. And the rot in our system really begins from our mouth, in a sense, or the rot in our health functioning. So what can parents do to keep children healthy? Lead extremely healthy lives themselves, because we are living in 2020. You cannot tell a child to stay away from junk food when you are going to be drinking your colas and having your dark chocolates and having cornflakes or whatever else for breakfast. So it's important for parents to lead a healthy life, because kids watch and learn much more than listen and learn. So leading by example is a good idea. And then education, of course, where we are able to tell them that, all right, if it's an ad, it's bad. So you only see ads for junk food. You don't quite see ads for the laddus and the dal chawal and stuff like that. And for the government also to regulate junk food, I think that's going to be a big step going forward as a developing economy. If we are able to have health warnings on junk food, just like the way we have them on cigarettes, saying this is injurious to your health, because it really is, for the health of the people, for the health of the planet, with all the plastic and biodegradable stuff, non-biodegradable stuff that it creates. So I think leading by example is the way to get children to stay away from junk food.
I had a small pointer to discuss with you, because you deal with food so much, Rujuta. Whenever you buy something from outside of India, there is I'm talking about food, so there's a certain amount of certification that goes into that kind of food. For example, if you buy cold cuts, or you buy meats, or you buy any kind of chocolate, or you buy a beverage flavoring for your child, there's always this much of this is this, expiry dates, etc. Recently, I got to know that there's a very prominent chicken packaging company, not just a packaging company, they also obviously sell the chicken, and they just rub the dates. When something goes back to them as expired, they rub the dates and they put the packaging back in shops. And this came to us from somebody who was actually working in the chicken company. So why is it that we have this kind of lack of sort of interest in taking care of certain basics for food?
I think partly it's about priorities. We need to be much more better regulated with everything that is packaged and processed food, because you know that ultra processed packaged food is something which not just ruins oral health, for example, but it also ruins your overall health. It is one of the primary drivers of non-communicable diseases, be it obesity, be it fatty liver, be it diabetes, be it heart diseases. And India is scoring really high on all of these markers as well. We are an emerging market, so to say, when it comes to all of the lifestyle diseases. And now during COVID times, we've also realized that if you do carry a non-communicable disease, you're that much more vulnerable even to infectious diseases like COVID. So of course, I think the government needs to step in and ensure, and I think to a large extent FSSAI is doing that. But Tisca, at the end of the day, we are also talking in a country where millions go hungry. So sometimes it's just about having that kind of consumer awareness and ensuring that we eat less out of packets and much more out of our own kitchens. And for that, we are also going to need a revolution of sorts at homes, where we actually build gender neutral kitchens. You cannot have a father cooking only in an advertisement or in a cool movie. We need that to become the new normal of our lives, because only then can we have access to good health, slim waistlines, glowing skins, good hair, beautiful smiles. I think it all begins from our kitchens.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. I'm going to call you after this session and make you talk to my husband also. Not that I cook either, but still.
Yeah, the husband should cook, whether or not we cook.
Yes. Agreed.
So I
Agreed.
think Kothari is going to make that change from his house.
Okay, doctor, this is for you. Tell us about your experience with teenagers. Do you have kids or teens as patients?
Yes, I absolutely have a very first-hand experience. I have a 15-year-old boy, and so I can very much relate to how parents have been talking to me actually over these years. So last 18 years, of course, we've treated thousands of kids, and I've been in interacting with so many parents, which I now realize, when because most kids come to us at an age which is between 10 and 15, and they are in that adolescent phase where it's very crucial actually for them as children because a lot of things are changing. They are physically changing, they are mentally changing, and a lot of things happening inside their mouth. Their teeth falling, new teeth coming in, and they've been sent to us to fix them. So a child goes through a lot, in these 4 or 5 years when they are actually developing. And as you said in the early aspect, that this is a very crucial phase of their life, wherein not only for their teeth, the way they eat, the kind of habits we can cultivate in them, this all goes a long way to making them really good adults and practicing a good lifestyle in the future. So yeah, our experience has been it's a mixed bag. As far as junk food is concerned, I think it's pretty much a norm with most kids, and it's something we have to deal with as parents and even for us as doctors. So I have had parents in the past, calling us or maybe texting my office and priming us before the child actually comes for the treatment that, doc, please tell so and so not to eat this. She's gripping on this all the time. This guy's having so much of soda in the night. So when they see you, I will not say anything, but make it a point that you tell something, because they think that we as a third party are going to be able to influence the child, and which in a way is pretty true, because we kind of have a bonding with these kids. They come to our office every month, and we are seeing them for close to 2 years. So there is a huge bonding between the entire office, us as doctors and the children. And when a doctor actually tells them that, yeah, kind of avoid this, it's not good for your teeth, it'll not help you finish your treatment quicker, your braces might break, this kind of junk food is not going to be good, your teeth won't move quickly. A lot of aspects really go into their brain and they kind of accept it. So now I understand why parents used to come and tell me, doc, you tell. For us, they don't listen. And it's the same thing, when I realize my son, he may just discard what I say. They are so much influenced by their friends, their peers, social media, so many things happening around them now. So I think, yeah, it's interesting times, and we as parents and as doctors as well need to shape up these teens and their future. I think we are going to play a great role.
And I'm sure you are already doing that. Rujuta, one question for you. What are some of the foods that teenagers must absolutely avoid, and what are the substitutes for that?
This is often like a question that I get asked that, and unfortunately, a lot of our training as nutritionists about this, that, if they are eating this, then, can we just change a few ingredients and make it healthier? Now, the thing is that as long as you're having everything that is made at home, you don't need to change any of the ingredients, because most of our recipes are time tested. They come at a time that, like Diwali, for example, there are a few sweets or there are a few fried items that you will eat, and you're supposed to eat them only for the 2-3 days of the year. It's about families coming together, cooking together, eating together, sharing their love, joy, fables and stories, and gossip. Very importantly, family gossip. All of this is extremely important for good health and preventing diseases. You shouldn't come in the way of that. However, I think what children must 100% avoid is junk food, anything that comes out of a packet. So I have a mantra for that, jitna packet khulta hai, utna peet fulta hai. So, if you're a teenager and you would like to go around with one big belly, then yeah, please open packets, open cans, and keep drinking out of it or eating out of those things. Very interestingly, Europe did one study called the iFamily study, which actually looked at children from all kinds of socio-economic classes, and they looked at their parents. And what they discovered is that, and what they also recommend, is childhood obesity is growing not just in India, it's also growing in Europe. What they strongly recommend is that for parents to say no every time children make a demand for junk food. Now, most parents, like I think Dr. Kothari was also saying, kind of don't want to say no themselves. They want a third party to say no to the child. But the thing is, you don't live with your doctor, right? You live with your parents. So parents have to say no as many times as the child demands for junk food, be it a chocolate, be it a cookie, be it a cola, be it chips. And a child's ability and also a teenager's ability to endlessly demand for junk food until the parent finally gives up and says khale or chup it is also identified, and it's called as pester power, you know. So it's really up to parents to stand up to that pester power and to say no matter how many tantrums they throw, because there really is nothing that can make a biscuit or a cookie or a chocolate or a cola healthier. You can't just remove sugar or fat out of it and make it healthier. You cannot also just put honey instead of sugar and make it healthier. It stays the junk that it is. So say no to all kinds of packaged and processed foods, and know that there is research to show that parents who say no to demands of junk food save children from getting metabolic diseases in the future. So if you do want your child away from obesity, diabetes, heart diseases, mental health and stuff like that, saying no right now is the answer. And as far as home food goes, even if it's a bhajia or a chakli or a ghugra or a karanji or any of these things, which now they will also have access to during Diwali, make it together, eat it together, and enjoy it for those 2 or 3 days. Don't try and make it any healthier. It's healthy the way it is, and it's just a yearly affair. I think if we just use these commonsensical practices, we will have children who have a sense of belonging, who understand what health is, and who are also reasonable with their indulgences. It's important that we raise children who know how to be reasonable with their indulgences.
Doctor, what is the importance of nuts in a diet? That's a question which kind of confuses people. Do they have a negative effect or positive effect? Or
I think nuts are very good, and I have them every day, and so does my son. I think it should be a part of everyday diet, and unfortunately, it's interesting that with braces, when kids come to us for treatment and they have got these metal braces stuck on their teeth, they have been prevented from eating nuts because they could break the braces. And so there's a huge list of do's and don'ts when a poor child comes to us for fitting fixed braces. But that was, of course, the conventional way. Now, with the Invisalign system, which is removable, all my kids are free to eat everything. And we encourage them, of course, to have nuts, badam and akroat and everything. I think that's really healthy stuff, and they should be eating all that on a regular basis.
Rujuta, nuts are the wonder food that Tell us a little bit about what do you think of nuts?
Well, I think every raging teenager should be having at least a handful of cashews every day. High in B6, prevents mood swings. Also, there are some growing children who have these growing aches and pains where their knee hurts or the calf cramps. So a handful of peanuts every single day. Or even right now we'll have, after Diwali in January, you have Sankranti, which is like the chikkis with til and gur and peanut and jaggery and stuff like that. So that's really good for all growing children. Walnuts, badam, pista, those are the things that they should be eating. good in fiber, rich in vitamin B, great in taste. They blend in every single thing, and they make for an excellent snack in between, because children, they're constantly hungry. So they'd much rather have a handful of peanuts or a handful of mixed nuts instead of really snacking on chips and biscuits. That would be a much healthier choice. The more unprocessed food our children eat, the more they eat it like the way it exactly grows on a tree, nuts, fruits, vegetables, the healthier they are likely to be. And even I feel that too, that if the treatment that you're taking is going to keep you away from healthy food, then what kind of treatment are we talking about? So if anything, if you're going to be doing work with your oral health, it much rather empower you to eat everything that's healthy for your entire body versus really preventing you from eating food which is critical for your growth stage.
Sure. Doctor, are there any restrictions with the Invisalign braces? Are there any dietary restrictions?
No, that's the wonderful part of the Invisalign now, because it's a totally digitally driven system where the technology is such that we don't have anything like brackets and wires which are stuck on the child's teeth. So the child basically wears a plastic which is multi-layered, and it's brought out in stages. So every time the child changes a new set, the teeth slowly move into its new position. Since it's removable, there are no restrictions. So initially, I used to remember whenever we used to treat kids with conventional braces, there was a huge list of do's and don'ts, which we used to give the children. Okay, don't do this, and don'ts were, of course, more than the do's. Yeah, so always it's like, don't eat this, don't eat that. This will break your braces. That's going to hurt your tongue. So all of that is just vanished with the newer technology. And that's the USP which the Invisalign and all the teams in my practice now are just doing Invisalign, because even parents understand, like how Rujuta said, I mean, if something that is important is going to keep you away for a good 2 years of your life, and you are going to be restricted from eating nuts and whole food and biting into a whole apple, all that is required. It's fiber, it's nutritious. And if that's going to come in the way, I think that treatment doesn't make sense. You need to move on with technology, and you need to accept newer ways of treating kids. And that's exactly what Invisalign does.
Yep. They say quite correctly, a stitch in time saves 9. So right investments in healthy habits, healthy choices for your child can really make the child's life a whole lot better, the quality of life. And since we're talking about healthy food and healthy teeth, I'm curious to know if there's any specific foods that are very healthy for teeth. We always hear chocolate is not good for your teeth. Is there any other food that is good for your teeth and can help improve the overall health of your teeth, Rujuta?
Well, I think eating millets, that is something which is extremely healthy. So jawar in summers, bajra in winters, ragi in monsoon, and in every possible way. So these are again extremely versatile. So you could roll them into a laddu, you can make them into a dosa, you can make it into a porridge, you can make it into a roti. And when a child learns to chew properly, then she's really learning to live her life also well. I mean, I really think that we need to get our children to really sit down at one place and eat, because अगर life में मजे से नहीं खाएंगे तो और क्या करने वाले हैं, so to make the most of our life, we need to learn how to sit down and enjoy a meal. Millets can teach you that. The other thing which is extremely crucial in a child's health is sprouts. So, and by sprouts, I mean dals and pulses. And India has a variety of more than 65,000 dals and pulses. Now, they're good for ecology. We are raising children in the times of climate change. We have to teach them to eat more pulses, because it can also prevent climate change, because it keeps the soil health intact. It doesn't need any chemicals and fertilizers to grow. And pulses like moong, matki, rajma, choli, lobia, kurit, Navrangi dal, all of these, this wide variety that we have, they help fix not just the soil health but also the gut bacteria. And when children are growing up, their gut bacteria is evolving, and with the kind of junk food that they're accessing these days, unfortunately shrinking. Also, with lockdown, the very fact that most of them haven't been able to go for their skating class, tennis class, or football, or whatever else that they do, the gut bacteria is compromised. And eating regular dals and pulses and sprouts can help regenerate that. So I recommend parents that they need to have at least 12 different pulses and sprouts that they're getting their children to eat, and there are many in every region that we live in, so pick up the most native one. The third thing is, of course, fresh fruits and the fruit of the season. So mango ke season mein mango, सीताफल के season में सीताफल, bear के season में bear. So the fruit of the season, that would be my third recommendation. My fourth recommendation would be nuts, at least a handful of nuts every day. Peanuts also. You remember in Mumbai, while just about 20 years ago, almost everyone would snack on a 5 rupee ka packet of peanuts. Now that's gone, and you're getting like a pizza and stuff like that. So peanuts is or a handful of nuts every single day. And lastly, a bowl of dahi or a glass of chas. That is also very, very important for every growing child. Just keeping it basic with children is important, and for parents to turn them into nice recipes is also important, so that children actually like eating at home versus really needing to eat from outside to have access to tasty food.
Wonderful, Doctor. I'm so going to be calling you to take some tips, because as you were talking, I've come to the conclusion that though I'm a conscious mom, my daughter's almost 8 years old, I haven't been paying attention so specifically as you've been mentioning. And when I make her weekly chart, I'm definitely going to call you. This is not just a happy chat for the webinar. I'm actually going to call you, and I'm going to take some tips from you as to how to take care of my child, because I want her to be disease free. And somewhere we've all given into the aspect of the kabhi kabar chips kha liye. So every day there is something kabhi kabar.
Yeah.
Becomes kabhi kabar biscuit becomes kabhi kabar, and then every day there is one kabhi kabar, and then that becomes more and more regular. So yeah, we need to check that. Doctor, what is your view on healthy foods for teeth specifically and gums?
Right. So I think Rujita's covered a lot about the general stuff, which she's an expert on that. But yes, coming to teeth and gums, I think any fruits which are citrus, they have vitamin C, and that's damn good for your gums. So you must encourage kids to have citrus fruits. Children must have a lot of cheese, milk, plain yogurt, as a lot of calcium and protein. Dairy products are really important for your teeth. And most above, fibrous fruit. Any fibrous fruit or vegetable, like apples or carrots, which is a roughage, it's a self-cleansing mechanism. So it kind of removes the plaque from the surface of your teeth. So the child is self-cleansing when he's actually chewing into this kind of food. And of course, sugarless chewing gums, again, very good for getting the plaque off the teeth. So I think eating healthy is one aspect. The second aspect is to also maintain the oral hygiene of the kid. And that's where reinforcing the brushing habit as well as flossing habit is very, very important. Every child must brush twice a day. It's extremely important to brush before you go to bed. There is no compromise on night brushing, and that's where I see most of us lacking. In fact, I will have parents coming to my office when the child is sitting on the chair, and they will tell me, "Doctor, raat ko brush nahi karta." Please tell him he doesn't brush in the night. For a second, I go back and I just look at them, and I feel like asking them, do you do it? And then I stop, but 80% of the times, I think the answer is no. So we don't do it ourselves, and we expect our children to do it. And the child at this age understands, what is right and wrong. So you have to cultivate that habit in yourself first. You need to go out, brush in the night, and then expect your teen to go and do the same thing. So if I have to brush or my son needs to brush, I take him to the bathroom myself. Okay, come on, Manav, let's do our night brushing and let's sleep. So that's a way when he also knows, dad also needs to clean his teeth in the night. And I think I should do it as well. So you are role models for your children. And you need to inculcate this habit. It's very, very important. So I think it's good to be patient with kids in today's age, but I think we also need to be persistent along with patience. And that's how they will transform.
Yes,
But yes.
absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I agree with you, Doctor. I've been following the same with my daughter. Rujuta has given us some wonderful tips. I particularly have taken that if it's in an ad, it's bad. And also, packet fatega to packet.
So paid fulega.
Packet fatega to paid fulega. Yeah, that. And I also really like what you said about the pulses and how it is extremely important to take care of soil health and climate change and all of that is very real, and that's something that I think today's kids they are learning very actively in school. They're very aware of that aspect, and my daughter also doesn't waste paper because she says, "Mama, that's the branch of a tree. It's a baby tree." They have those that kind of awareness, so that's a good way to also get to them. Thank you so much, Rujuta. I'm going to be calling you shortly. It was wonderful to hear you, and one can see why you are such a big hit with everyone, because you are full of good common sense, which is very, very lacking today. Thank you for bringing your wonderful words to us today, and we hope to catch up with you another time again. Thank you for being part of #TransformYourTeens.
Thank you very much, and a happy Diwali to everyone.
Happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali, Rujuta. Happy Diwali.
Bye. Thank you. We continue with you, Doctor.
Yes.
What is the best age for getting a smile correction done or an orthodontic treatment?
Well, there is no best age to do orthodontic treatment or smile correction, because in today's world, you can do orthodontic treatment at any age, as far as your gums and your teeth are healthy. But coming back to teens, I feel first orthodontic checkup at the age of 7 is the most recommended. And it's kind of a myth that parents feel that let's wait, let all the permanent teeth come, then we'll take them to a braces specialist and start the treatment. But at the age of 7, when your first molars have just come, that's the 6-year molars, the child is developing a growth phase. And that spurt is going to help the child develop his jaws. And that's when you need to actually assess whether the child needs any intervention with regards to his growth modulation. And also there are a lot of habits a lot of children have, like tongue thrusting or thumb sucking when they were children, and that continues. So if those habits are not broken early on, then these are the habits which will lead to more problems in the future, and then the treatment becomes that much more difficult. So ideally, you should definitely get the first checkup for your child at the age of 7 with an orthodontist. It's going to give also the child an overview of a dental office. They will have exposure to what a dentist is. They'll probably just come. It might just be a routine consult. They'll have a fun time, go back home, and they'll feel good that, yeah, I visited my dentist for the first time. And 20% of those kids normally end up getting some kind of treatment. 80% don't fall into that category. So the rest 80%, they come in when most of their permanent teeth are in their mouth. So that's when the adolescent phase is, when between 10 and 15, depending on the teething of the child. So it's not the age, it's more the teething of the child that decides when we start with the braces treatment for them. But considering all of this, as you said, the question was, what's the good time to do smile correction? But I feel when we are treating children, there is a whole lot more to their teeth setting than just smile correction. Because smile is one aspect. Yes, it's aesthetic, it's the look. But what we are doing for these children in these 2 years when they are getting their braces done is you're actually designing the architecture of their entire dentition. And that is going to decide the bite of the child. And the bite of the child is going to decide how your child is going to be able to eat his and her favorite food for the rest of their lives. So it's very important that the bite is set perfectly. Of course, the aesthetics come once the teeth get well aligned. But most of us don't realize that what a doctor or an orthodontist does for the child's teeth is actually getting the bite set for life for that child. And that is a very, very critical aspect of the treatment. And today, with digital orthodontics, we are able to do this in a seamless way. So Invisalign has a complete digital workflow in our office, right from the start of the treatment till the end of treatment. You have an extremely precise treatment plan. You have predictability. You have a painless way of moving teeth. And that was something which was never heard of. When you look at braces and wires, most kids are afraid. Even we, I don't know if you took treatment, Tiska, as a child, but I did. And I remember those 2 years of braces and wires in my mouth and the pain and the restrictions you have. So nobody talks about them in a real nice way of those 2 years. But now if you see the teens who are going through Invisalign, they are very happy. They are able to eat everything. They're like showing off those plastics to other kids. And it's an amazing way because the whole process has become so seamless for them. And most of it's painless. So I think digitization has changed the entire way we look at smile correction. But as I said, I would emphasize on the bite correction more.
I completely understand what you're saying because I've had classmates who had braces and we call them, I mentioned this in a previous webinar also, very rude children. Now we call them metal mouth and we call them jaw. And used to call them all kinds of horrible names, and you see all of that, metal and rubber bands snapping in the middle of a meal and all kinds of chaos.
Right.
Yes, Invisalign seems to have taken the world of dentistry by storm because it's setting the bite of the child and setting the course for the future of the child's eating and making it a pleasure. We have a bunch of questions from the audience, doctor. So the first question is, my child is wearing regular braces. Is it possible for her to switch to Invisalign aligners?
Yes, definitely. Why not? The process would be, you need to approach your orthodontist. The brackets will have to be removed from the child's mouth. The teeth need to be scanned with a digital scanner. And the aligners normally take a month to come. This manufacture because it's a complete digital process, as I told you. So interim time, the patient needs to be on retainer so the teeth don't shift from the stage that they are. And then moment the aligners come in, you can definitely move to Invisalign.
The second question that has come, and that's actually, we've already answered that question you have, but we can still ask it. Can we eat food while wearing teeth aligners?
No, we have to remove them while eating. That's the only time you effectively take them out, while eating and brushing. The rest of the times it has to be in your mouth and doing the work that braces and wires do.
And these are easy enough for the child to take out themselves?
Oh yes, absolutely. Within seconds, they can take them off and snap them back in.
And they're not breakable or anything?
No, they're made of a special material. It's called Smart Track. It's a patented plastic by Invisalign and it's very flexible. So they flex enough for them not to break at all.
And so here's another very interesting question, which I personally also want to know: how to correct and forward lower jaw. Having clips, no use. My son, the question is mistyped. My son has not used regularly, but are there any other ways? So I think what they're trying to ask is how to correct forward lower jaw and without clips. Is there any other way?
So we can certainly treat a forward lower jaw also with aligners, just like how we do with braces and wires. But we need to understand the age of the child first, whether the growth phase is over or not. If the child is definitely in the growth phase or the growth spurt hasn't come, we can definitely address the jaw issue as well at this age. Post that, of course, then it becomes a surgical case. So if you need to deal with that, post the child once he's past his growth spurt or is 18, then I think we'll need to go in for surgery. But definitely there's a potential to rework. You cannot stop growth, that's nature, but you can redirect it. So when you can redirect it, you can actually camouflage the effect and try and get a good face for the child, definitely.
There was another question which I had, which hasn't come from a parent, but since I'm a parent, I need to ask it as well. As I understand, our jaws over a period of evolution are becoming narrower because we're not eating that much, we're not masticating that much. So our posterior teeth are becoming smaller and smaller, and our jaws are shrinking. And that causes wisdom teeth to then eventually, and it causes a misalignment in teeth as well,
Right.
overlap. So, how does Invisalign help with that? And is Invisalign be used by adults as well, or just teens?
Uh, First aspect is to answer your question about the wisdom teeth. So yes, what you're saying is completely true that our jaws are shrinking, and we don't have space for 32 teeth in our mouth any longer. So most of us have got wisdom teeth which are impacted. So they are impacted means they are within the jaws, and they try to come out. When they try to come out, they kind of dearrange the teeth which are in the front, and that's how the misalignment happens. So they could be a cause of the misalignment. Uh, the way it can be treated, yes, it can be done with Invisalign, just as you do it with normal braces. We can realign your teeth. Taking care of the wisdom teeth then comes as a part of retention. Retention means you want to hold the teeth in that new position so that the child has the same bite and smile for the rest of his life. That's when you will take a call on the wisdom teeth aspect, whether they show that they don't cause any problems in the future for the child. The second part of your question was whether adults can be treated with Invisalign. Well, Invisalign is a 20-year-old device, and honestly, it started off with adults. So it started off with the need of having something invisible, so all the people who had missed the bus and never got themselves treated as a child could definitely get their smiles and bite corrected, and that's how Invisalign came into the market. And today, Invisalign has evolved so much that it has kind of replaced brackets and wires even in children. So the Invisalign teen option has just come in a few years ago, but all these years it has been doing wonders for adults.
Wonderful, wonderful. I particularly have had all four wisdom teeth removed, and
Okay.
I remember was a nightmare for me. Because I one time I got dry socket, I got other problems. It was just a disaster. I wish I had known about Invisalign at that point, and I would have been your first patient for that. Another parent is asking a very interesting question: the ability to smile. Is it really important for a parent to care about that about their teenager?
The ability to smile.
So the parent, I think, is asking is that how important is a smile for a child's confidence? The ability to smile. I mean, that a child should be able to smile is, I think, what the parent is asking.
I think it is very important, and I think there is no substitute. Look at you, look at your smile. I mean, it's really important. I think it says it all. I think when the parent looks at you, I think she will get the answer. But yes, I think it makes a huge difference for the self-confidence of the child. And instead of having crooked and misaligned teeth or even buck teeth, I mean, you see Darshil, in your movie Tare Zameen Par, and you would relate that to, Tanay. They both are my patients. So you would not want to have buck teeth like that, or teeth. Even have braces like Tanay had braces when he was doing the movie Tare Zameen Par, and you probably never knew because he had them behind his teeth. So it's important. I think children need to have nice, vibrant smiles, and all of us as adults also do, because teeth is a window to your face. I mean, if you take a picture without teeth in them, and you will see the whole difference of what I'm saying.
Yep. So as I've said in the previous webinars as well, I've never seen an ugly smiling face. Smiling faces are always beautiful faces.
Absolutely.
And now there is one last question that we have. How important is it to have a dental checkup regularly, both for adults and children?
It's extremely important. I think at least once in 6 months, everyone should visit their dentist, because it not only gives you a clear picture of what's inside your mouth, it also tells you about the prevention, because there are a lot of things that can be prevented. And a lot of times people talk to dentists and they tell us, dentists are very expensive. your treatments are very costly. And we tell them it's not dentistry that's expensive, it's the neglect that is expensive. So if you don't catch things at the early age, at the right time, you can certainly do much more preventive work in the patient. So my office believes in minimal invasive dentistry. We don't do a lot of invasive work. We try and minimize whatever and preserve natural teeth as much as possible. That can happen only when you have regular checkups. And also you will understand how you're brushing, how your tartar formation is, whether your gum condition is healthy. Today, all of this is related to even your entire systemic health. Like you've got heart diseases which are related to your gum condition. You have your gum condition related to diabetes and blood sugar. So even for adults, it's extremely important that they get their dental checkups done at the right time so that they can avoid these kind of problems and complications related to other systemic problems. So I would suggest at least once in 6 months.
Can't you kind of say that the pH balance of your body, for example, if you are hyperacidic, then the kind of scratches that you have on the surface of your teeth, etc., they can tell that from your teeth.
Absolutely. Just looking at your teeth, you will be able to make out whether the person has an acidity problem or not, there's a reflux or not. So there are a lot of things that can be pointed out when you have a visit to a dentist. So, and also it reinforces, when you have a checkup, you know that, okay, let me take care before I go for the checkup. When you never go for a checkup, it's the same thing for your health checkup. If you're going for a complete body health checkup, you're going to be dieting, you're going to be looking after the food that you eat, you're going to do everything of that sort for a week before, right? Before you go into the medical room. So it's the same thing with a dentist. You could probably be doing the same thing because, I have a checkup. Okay, let's get into the hygiene, let's get into the routine before I sit and open my mouth, So I think it's reinforcing. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And one last question that again is my question. In COVID times, if we don't want to bring a child to a clinic or if we don't ourselves want to visit a clinic, is there a way for us to do like a e-consult with you?
Absolutely. In fact, throughout the COVID times, we've been having virtual consults with all our patients. And luckily, my practice was already a digital practice for the last 2 years. So for us, even working from home, for my entire staff, it was a network. We were already on the cloud with each other. And we definitely see all our patients. Even in Invisalign, I see children at an interval of 2 to 3 months, even now. And so they physically visit us every 2-3 months. But in between the 2-3 months, every month we are doing a virtual consult with them on the phone, on Zoom, as well as on the app. There is an app on the phone on which the child can actually take pictures and share with us every time he changes a set. So we will guide them, we monitor them virtually. So virtual consults have become kind of a norm now, but they can certainly not replace a physical consult because we need to see a little closely on your teeth, but it will definitely give you a broader picture of what can be done in terms of treatment options.
Thank you so much, doctor. I'm going to bring my daughter. She's almost 8, like I keep saying throughout the time. I'm a concerned mother here. I'm going to get checked for Invisalign. I see that there is some lack of alignment in her front teeth. She's just, has a couple of teeth coming out. Not all have fallen. Her milk teeth are still in place. So I will definitely get her to you. First, we'll do an e-consult and
sure.
I'm going to be calling you right after the session. But it's such a pleasure listening to you and Rujuta. So let's #transform our teens to beautiful human beings and keep a check on their healthy food habits and keep their smiles intact. And with this, #transform your teens webinar series has come to an end. Hope you have enjoyed the enriching conversations throughout the series. And I wish every single one, on behalf of the entire team at Invisalign and myself, a very, very happy Diwali. Happy Diwali, doctor, and happy Diwali, everyone.
Happy Diwali, Jessica. Thank you all. Thank you.